Hello. Thank you for coming and checking out my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if this is not your first time, if you've been here before, then you know what to expect, but you know I appreciate you very much. My name is Jennifer, and this is Jen the Bookworm. And today I am bringing you a reading vlog. This is only my second reading vlog I've ever created. I don't feel like these are my strong suits, but I do feel like I'll get better at them with time. So I was thinking that the month of November, if you have been on the channel recently or before, you know that I'm doing a read it or delete it challenge. I have downloaded an inordinate amount, words. I have downloaded a lot of books on Kindle using primarily BookBub. If you've never heard of BookBub, it is a subscription service. Sort of, you sign up for email notifications, you say I like these genres, and they send you emails saying these books are on sale or these books are free within these genres. Or you can say I like these authors, and they say, hey, this author is on sale. And I've gotten some really good books that way. Just recently, actually, there was a Joe Hill book that I picked up for $2.99 or $1.99, one of the two, I can't remember. Sometimes my favorite authors will have really cheap books. But sometimes my favorite genres, there will be a lot of indie published or lesser known authors who will publish things for free or for 99 cents or whatnot. Sometimes I do believe that you get what you pay for, but sometimes you get gems and you didn't have to pay anything for it. So it's a hit or miss kind of thing. It really depends. There are some, it's like for 99 cents, you can get a 12-box set of people mating with dragons or something. So sometimes it's a miss. But sometimes, I hope, fingers crossed, there'll be some hits, because I have downloaded more than 600 titles over the years during the time when I was not reading. So I'm doing this read it or delete it challenge. I have picked up three books now out of that challenge. And I will go through with you and kind of discuss a little bit why I deleted or why I liked the books in question. Hello. So I've been reading this book, The Wind Warrior, by John Messenger, I think it is. And I don't know, it's my first pick in the read it or delete it game that I'm playing for this month. And I'm sorry, I'm sitting in my living room because the couch is the most comfortable place for me after my injury. I've pinched a nerve now and I have a whole mess of whatever. But it impedes where I can sit. So right now the couch is my friend, and so that's where I'm at. So this will be short because I won't be able to hold my phone forever, but I apologize for the phone moving around and stuff. But so anyway, I'm reading Wind Warrior, and it's really, I don't think it's the one for me. It's about a man, or I say man because he's in college, but he really doesn't act like a man. He's more acting like a boy. This really reads as a YA high school situation, except for that it's in college. And it's almost like a Spider-Man type story, except for there's no spider. He just suddenly comes up with wind powers one day. And I don't know. It's the first of all, most of these books I'm reading on my Kindle. You can see my Kindle here has been mustachioed. My daughter used to be into mustaches for some reason. And so for like her 8th birthday, we got her these mustaches, and she thought it would be funny to put them all on my Kindle. And so there they have lived forever. Thank you, baby. But I have my little Kindle here that I've been choosing, or that I have all of the books downloaded on. I've been choosing these little slips of paper out of a bucket. I will have interspersed some footage of that in this. So the first book that I chose was called Wind Warrior. It is part of the World of Flame series. It's book 1 by John Messenger. And I downloaded this. I bought this on February 14th of 2018. I bought a lot of books in 2018 on Valentine's Day. Went through a little spree, apparently. So this was the first book that I chose out of my bucket. And I could almost immediately tell that it wasn't going to be for me. But I tried. I didn't want to like, nope, after one page or whatever, but it was not, the writing was clunky. Dialogue was not great. It seemed to me like it was a Peter Parker story. No spiders, but like suddenly it was a Peter Parker story where he didn't explain how he got his powers. Maybe he would have if I'd have continued reading it longer, but I just didn't have the patience for it. He's at school, and this is all in college setting, but the characters are really, really, like, you age them down in your head, or at least I did. They really came across YA, high school, kids at school, and this girl's like, you wanted to dance with me? And he's like, yeah, I don't know, and I got things to do, I gotta study, I gotta whatever. Then, in the story, it was really weird because, so this boy, I can't remember his name now. Can't remember the character's name. But he was living with his parents. His parents are paying for college and he's living with them. So he feels somewhat beholden to get good grades and not screw around too much so that they're getting their money's worth out of it. And he made mention to this girl who wants him to go to the dance. We'll see, because I'm struggling with this class and I need to study. And, and I still live with my parents. And then she's like, oh, and don't forget you live with your grandpa too. Does he forget that often? Does he need to be reminded? Apparently, because later on, like in the same, like a page or two later, he's talking to a friend of his who's like, hey, you want to come over tonight? And he's like, I got to study. And, somewhere along the way, he mentions living with his parents again. And then this guy says, and don't forget you live with your grandpa too. 2 people need to remind him he lives with his grandpa? Why? And then he goes home. He's trying to get up the stairs before he gets noticed. His mom catches him. They have a really weird back and forth. It wasn't really great dialogue. But then he goes up the stairs and he's almost all the way up the stairs when she's like, and don't forget to say hi to your grandpa. And then he's like, bends around and stomps down the stairs. And he goes in the room and then he talks about how he's got such a beautiful, wonderful, special relationship with his grandfather. Show, don't tell. Because the actions I'm seeing is, I'd rather forget my grandpa even lives with me, or I forget to an extent that other people around me need to remind me. And I'm pissed off when I'm reminded that I have to go say hi to him. If you have a special relationship with your grandparent who is living with you, you go in and say hi to them without needing to be asked to. And if somebody in your family feels the need to remind you, you don't act like a 12-year-old brat about it, I think. So I just couldn't with the writing. I didn't think the writing was great. So I left and deleted. The next book I picked was Critical Judgment. This is by Michael Palmer. And I downloaded this 2018 as well, February 11th, 2018. And I really thought I would have a better shot with this one. Michael Palmer is a well-known established author. He writes medical, mystery, thriller type. I don't know about thriller, but anyway, he writes that genre, house without all the sassiness. So I thought I would have a better shot with that one. I got to about chapter 4. I got to chapter 4. I didn't even start chapter 4, and I DNF'd it. And here's why. So the premise so far of the book was a woman who was a doctor, and she was trained in a huge learning hospital. It was in a big city, big hospital, has lots of specialists on hand, a lot of equipment and stuff on hand, and she's used to that environment. But she moves to a much smaller town with a much smaller hospital because her fiance needed to move for his job, so she moved with him. I think there was supposed to be some sort of, I don't know, mysterious outbreak of something that pops up, but I didn't quite even get to that point because where we kind of come in with her practicing medicine, there's a person who is dying, and she saves them in a very dramatic fashion, which I had no problem with any of that, but she saves them in a very dramatic fashion. But in doing so, she sort of was no nonsense and snapped at somebody, snapped at one of the EMT guys, and snapped at a nurse, and was just like, all business, and she saves the patient. And so it's kudos to her for that. But then she gets called up to the principal's office, basically. I mean, the head administrator of the hospital, whatever title he had, he asked her to come see him. And then she sort of gets very gently chastised for not being a team player and for snapping at people. And somebody's mentioned that she's not always friendly. And I'm sitting here thinking, and forgive me if this is annoying to you, but to me, I was thinking if she was a man and she had just saved somebody's life doing one of those daring doctor moves where you guess something and you guess right and you save the life and you save the family and save the cheerleader, save the world. You do all that. If she was a man, I don't think she would be brought up to the administrator's office to be told she needs to be a little bit more of a team, or he needs to be more of a team player. I think it would be like, you are a leader among men and promoting you. And it kind of felt like she was getting, her hands slapped a little bit because she wasn't pretty please and thank you and let me explain the entire thought process I have right now while the guy is dying, and hope that he will survive long enough for me to explain to you why I need you to do what I asked you to do 10 minutes ago. It just didn't jive with me, and I just didn't think that it was great. And then she mentions that she's having some struggle in her relationship with the fiance that she moved here to be with. And then she calls because she's got a little bit of time. She's working in an ER for an extended, they work like 12-hour shifts or whatnot. And so she's there for a long time, but she's going to come home that night. And so she calls her boyfriend, fiance, whatever. And I'm not exaggerating too much when I say that, like, she calls and she says, "Hey, I was just calling to see how you're doing." And he's like, "What the fuck is that supposed to mean?" It's just like, oh my God. He was so aggressively antagonistic towards her. And all she was doing was checking in. She's just like, "I was just checking in." And he's like, "I can take care of myself. I'm fine on my own." And, it's just, then be on your own. Because I'm just like, I've seen this movie before. Check. You should leave him now. And talk to me like that if I call to ask how you're doing, So the writing was fine. I didn't have a problem with the writing. If that was anything to go by the flavor of the story, I was not going to enjoy it. I was constantly going to be irritated at the fiance for being a jerk, and irritated at the people around her for not taking her as seriously, or for, I don't know if it was being sexist or not, or if it was just being, you know, the new doctor and let's pick on the new doctor or whatever. I didn't want to deal with it. Didn't want to deal with it, deleted it. So that's 2 for 2 that I deleted. Now, in this Read It or Delete It challenge, I kind of feel like I can't really lose. It would be better if I found content that I really loved. But I feel like I can't really lose because I am making space on my Kindle and getting rid of those things that I don't want to read. So, I mean, at least there's that. I did pull out one more. I won't have time to finish it before the end of this vlog. So I will... if I do a vlog for next week, I will tell you how I liked it then. I have... I have started reading it. It's a novella, so it's going to be a much quicker read. Kindle said it's only going to take me about 2 hours and some change to read it. So it won't take long. It's called Loss, a haunting novella of grief and madness by Glenn Kirsch. Why did I buy that? I don't know. I bought it back in 2012. I don't know what was going on in 2012 that made me think that a novella about loss and grief and madness would be a fun romp. But I did, and I have it, and so I'm going to read it. I think I probably won't DNF this one. I've already read into it for maybe 40 minutes or so into it. And the writing is good. It's fine. I was a little annoyed. In the beginning, the main character is had a fight with her husband. And she's like, it was all my fault. It was a misunderstanding, but I overreacted totally. And then the total overreaction was to him announcing to his family that they were going to adopt when they hadn't decided to do that. And she was like, we haven't totally decided that. And that was her complete, total overreaction and made this fight her entire fault. I rolled my eyes so far into the back of my head, I had trouble getting him forward again. It was just ridiculous. But the writing's pretty good, and the story is about she gets into a car accident, her husband dies, and she survives, and it's about her surviving that. So I will continue to read on, and hopefully check in with you in the next vlog to tell you how that's been going. One of the things that I found out about myself in this Read It or Delete It challenge is that it doesn't work to only be reading things on Kindle for me. I don't know how I ever had time to read the way I used to read only reading physical copies of books and not having any audiobooks. But it doesn't work for me before. I guess before I didn't have a child and I didn't have, as many responsibilities as I have now. But I missed, like right away, I could tell this was folly, because I missed having an audiobook while I was doing the dishes, or while I was running errands, or picking my daughter up from school, or whatever. I missed having a audiobook to have going on in the background, or whatever. So I decided to pick up a audiobook that I had recently downloaded. I think I have this book in the Read It or Delete It bucket as well, but I have 460 some odd pieces of paper in that bucket. I'm not going to go searching for this one title. So if I fish it out later, then I'll just fish out another one. But it's Vampire Academy, and it's an older book. It was my niece, when she was a teeny bopper, liked it a lot, and me and my sister took her to the movies to see it. And I remember thinking, it's okay. But I remember when we walked out, she's like, oh, the book is so much better, which is often the case. So I thought, I'll pick up this book. And I think I did pick it up. I did have it on my Kindle. I did immersion reading on this, so I read some of it on my Kindle, and some of it just audiobook while I was doing other things. I liked it okay. I'd probably give it a 3-star, but it wasn't for me. The reason I'd give it a 3 stars is because I don't think there was anything wrong with the book. There wasn't anything wrong with the story or the writing or anything like that. But my personal tastes are older now than they used to be. It just read as too young a book. It was too much about, this social circle is mad at me and I don't fit in with this social circle, and this person's a loser and this person's a dork, and I like this boy, he's hot, and this boy likes me but I don't, and I'm not sure, in the setting of vampires. And it was just kind of young for me. It was just kind of, I don't mind YA books. I like YA books. But I like YA books that are like Hunger Games. Hunger Games, these people were young. I think she was, 16 or 17 or something like that. But they're not dealing with, oh, this boy doesn't like me kind of issues. She was dealing with, my whole family's going to starve if I don't break the law and go out and poach. If I don't learn how to make traps, then I don't feed my family as well. If I don't learn how to make, snares, or if I don't learn how to do survival things when I'm thrown into these Hunger Games that are unfairly, generations later, children are asked to, or not asked, they're forced to murder each other for the pleasure of the capital. If I don't learn how to do this, I'm going to die and my family will starve. These are some real issues, some deeper issues. There's politics, there's action and adventure, and that's young adult, but it's not teeny bopper. It's not, it's got a little heavier feel to it, and I like those. I liked Harry Potter. I liked, I even liked, like the first Divergent book. The second one was, and the third one is no. But, so I like young adult, but this one was just too young for me. It was just, I'm not a 20-something, I'm not a teenager, I'm not a middle schooler. So I don't know that I'm in the right headspace or right age range for these. But it was not a bad book. I'm not sorry I read it, but I'm not going to read on into the series. There's more, but I'm not going to read them. After that, I have picked up a book called Fantastic Land. Now, one of my booktubers that I watch was talking about Fantastic Land, and I wish I could remember which one. I'll off the top of my head, I want to say it was Jordaline, because she's the one who I can rely on for spooky, scary, horror stuff. Whoever I was watching, I decided I'm going to put this on my wish list on Audibles. And I saw that it was free to me with my subscription. So I downloaded it. So I have started reading it. It's about a 9-hour long read, 9 and some change. And I have 7 hours and some change to go. So I've read a couple, almost 2 hours worth of it. And I really, really like it so far. So Fantastic Land is a fictional amusement park in Florida that was in kind of more northern Florida, but next to the ocean, near the ocean, but not really in a huge hurricane area. But they get hit by a hurricane. They get hit by Hurricane Sadie. And Fantastic Land had a little over 300 people in it that some of them people that were meant to be there to help with the park while going through this process to avoid or to discourage looting and stuff like that. It was more cost effective to keep some employees there in a bunker than it was to just let the place go. But this group of young adults and teenagers and stuff cut off from society, cut off from social media, cut off from everything for like a month or something like that. And almost immediately they turned feral. And I think there's some cannibalism in this. And I think there's definitely murder, mayhem. They talk about tribes. So they split up into groups, into tribes. And the book is being told from the point of view of an author, like a reporter who's writing a book on the things that happened at Fantastic Land. And it's, interviews that he is taken from various people. And so far, I mean, I'm only a little bit into it, but there's like a Red Cross rescue person. There's a father of a family that was visiting Fantastic Land, somebody who knew the creator of Fantastic Land. So there's all these different interviews and stuff that is eventually shaping into telling a story. And I really like it. I really think it's a lot of fun so far. Haven't gotten into anything gross or anything yet, but I feel it's coming. But I really feel like it lends itself to an audiobook really well, because I'm not sure if I was reading this, if it would feel the same, because it basically I'm reading a bunch of interviews, but in listening to it, the people who are acting out the person giving the interview and the author and whatnot, you can really hear the emotion in the voice, the like the American Red Cross person when she starts getting defensive about, I can only do what I can do, and you hear that, and you hear the emotion in the voice, and I really think it lends itself well to audiobook. So I'm really enjoying that. And I think in the month of November, while I'm picking and reading and deleting these things, I'm just going to go through and kind of mood pick whatever audiobook feels good to me in the moment, and we'll see. I'll just have those going as I'm reading the stuff in my Kindle. I really hope that you enjoyed this reading vlog. I had a lot of fun trying to get all the little elements put together, try to think about what I could add to it. If I'm remembering correctly, I filmed little parts of, like with my dog who was snuggling up to me while I was reading, and I found on Netflix they have this fireplace thing, program that's just basically a fireplace, and you hear the crackling of the fire and stuff, and that's really cool. And I had that going for atmosphere, and was sitting on my couch and snuggling my dog and reading my book and living my best life, other than the continued pain in my shoulder and stuff, which is much better, by the way. It just was still an issue over the week. But I have so far gotten through almost 3 of these selections, and I hope to bring you more next week. And I hope that you have enjoyed this reading vlog. And please leave me some comments below if you have some ideas for how I can better the vlog. If you would like to see more of anything, let me know. I will see what I can do. I hope that you've had as much fun watching this as I've had filming it, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.